When Christopher died, or I should say, when Tony murdered him, Christopher's story was over. But what if it had been the other way around? What if Tony had died in that accident instead? Let's look at the immediate fallout and what would likely happen right after the crash.
Don't you ever feel like there's no point to any of this?
The FBI also loses one of its biggest targets.
Major RICO against Tony Soprano. Those things take years to build. This recent case against Joe Messino in New York, that was 7 years before indictments were handed down.
For many years by this point, Carmela has been convinced that something bad was going to happen to Tony, one way or another, sooner or later. And now something has. Perhaps she'd been mentally preparing for it for so long that when it actually happens, it's not quite as overwhelming. We see around this time period, visually speaking, she looks pretty detached, almost like she's trying to distance herself. Once Carmela finished with her spec house, she was looking for a new adventure, a new project. What about the Soprano family's finances?
It's going to support your children and me if, God forbid, something happens to you. That's the point. Syl, Paulie.
If everything ended up being the same, Syl would be in a coma.
You're set in perpetuity. There's money in overseas accounts.
I don't have the serial numbers.
You'll have them when the time comes.
But if Tony dies, does Syl get shot in the first place?
There's over $400K in there. I want you to hold it for me. And my wife's going to come in here once a week for an allowance.
At this point, where we are in Kennedy and Heidi, is that money still there?
Why does he need your money?
Why? Cover his nut. Between his gambling and the lifestyle, and that boat, 3.2 mil. I warned him. There's absolutely no resale value whatsoever.
Who would know where it is if Neil doesn't?
Talking about some simple estate planning, Tony, that's all. Lots of people set up trusts for their kids, begin asset allocation, bonds then.
Where's the capital for that?
In the Caymans, or under the mattress, or wherever you put it at zero growth.
There's no cash in his house. Not since the last bust.
So keep in mind, Tony had his gambling issues around this time.
Oh, yes, very funny.
I'm serious, we can't get hurt. Listen to me, okay? This is the gravy. Windfall cash.
So who knows how much cash there really is? The Cayman Islands, Neil Mink's office, or anywhere else.
You stickler.
No.
Anthony, come on, nuts, okay.
What about those trusts that Tony and Carmela were arguing about back in season 4? A living trust lets assets like money, property, etc. bypass probate court.
Yeah, Soprano Family Living Trust, as discussed.
And when I croak, it's her problem.
So this means that if Tony died, Carmela could access what she needed faster, without legal delays or the state getting involved. Tony first says no to Carmela about the living trust, but then in the following episode, he agrees to it. Why the change of heart? I think being confronted with Gloria's death forced him to consider his own mortality, and I don't think he wanted Carmela and his kids to be on the street. What about the other cash? We know he gave Slava a bunch to send overseas. Where's that money now?
$250,000 there. My own personal funds.
I'll send it to Moscow with the Airbnb ThinkPads. But this time, I want to use Prom Street Bank. Anyway, then I'll send it to the Isle of Man, to your bank, numbered account.
How would Carmela know where to find this money? Does she have Slava's contact info? I doubt it. And as for the mob world, there's no clear succession plan.
It's okay, honey.
To be fair, the Lupertazzi family never had a real clear succession plan either, for what that's worth.
Okay.
If Tony had died in Kennedy and Heidi, would the ensuing war with New York still have happened?
Can't breathe. I'm only trying to bring good relations between the families. No matter what happens or who's in charge. If it's me, God forbid, or who?
Polly says no matter what happens or who's in charge, if it's me, God forbid, but I don't think he would actually want to step up and take that position. I don't think Polly has the patience for that. All of this instability opens the door for New York and Phil Leotardo to take control. I think Tony's death would have left a vacuum that no one was quite ready to fill.
A lot of my customers giving their action to New York.
Power vacuum to take advantage. You got redundant upper management, bleeds off half the kick.
Either it has meaning or no meaning.
If Tony dies and Christopher lives, what happens with Christopher? His survival would be complicated.
Never pass a drug test.
Pours you a drink with one hand, judges you with the other if you take it. And he wonders why I'm distant.
Without Tony's judgment hanging over him, what would he actually want to do?
Satrials, that fridge full of beer. You know how tough it is to eat a sausage and peppers without a cold one? I tell you, man, it's like I'm living somebody else's life.
I hope you're taking the time to reflect on all this. Savor the good stuff.
Yeah. I've been trying to do what you said. Pull back a little. Steer clear of old habits, same people.
Must be hard, though.
We know it's not just Tony who would give Christopher crap for not having a drink.
You're gonna jinx me? Toast with water?
It's club soda. When I was using, I was a disgrace. Now I'm sober and I'm a drip.
How's about being normal? That's so fucking hard?
Actually, yeah, Paulie. For some of us, it is.
Whether he's at the Bing, Satriali's, someone's car, or anywhere else, the temptation doesn't go away after Tony's death. How would Chris cope? So overall, I think it's safe to say that if Tony Soprano were to have died in Kennedy and Heidi, there would be a lot of turmoil, and the future of the DeMeo family would not be certain. And maybe that's the most telling part of all. This empire was always a house of cards, fragile, and waiting to collapse as soon as the top card in the deck falls.
There's no scraps in my scrapbook.
Not to mention Tony's family at home. What about their money? Do they have enough to live on?
How much in the end, all in?
Well, after construction, the purchase of the land, closing costs, it must be close to $6.
And my other money's tied up in asset allocation.
What is that?
With asset allocation, now we're going back to the trust. But it's a little concerning that Carmela doesn't know what he's talking about, since she was the one who pushed so hard for it in the first place.
You're rich, Tony. Use some of those bundles to cover.
This is all hypothetical, but it's something that I think about often, particularly around the anniversary of the series finale, June 10th.
Maybe you should go back, Heidi. Kennedy, I'm on my learner's permit after dark.
What do you think would have happened? Who would have stepped up or not? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to hear from you.